Hey Rebels from the Rebellious Studio in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Today covering the topic of I have back pain after sitting. Well, unfortunately that is something very common these days because we sit too long. We don't move enough, we don't stretch enough, and we lack core strength. Probably a lot of that associated to sitting. So a couple of positions that I wanted to cover related to sitting and how it should sit, and this is something that particularly I pay attention on. I watch people's form, how they sit. So let's just pretend I'm sitting in bed reading a book, yeah? So let's pretend this is the back of the bed. What I want to do is I want to have a nice tall posture. Of course, the core is helping me support that nice tall posture. If I bend the legs, that's going to help support the back. You can be out here and maybe put a pillow or a bigger towel and roll it under to provide support. For most people, because of tight hamstrings and tight low back, this is not going to feel comfortable and actually will probably start pulling into the low back. So probably somewhere here, I'm reading. What happens a lot of time, and you can interpret this as the bed or even a chair, is, and I'm going to greatly exaggerate it for visual purposes, is look, I'm going to tuck my tailbone under and I'm going to slouch, and then on top of this, what else happens? The shoulders shrug up. My book is now here. So now I'm in this absolutely horrible position that is putting pressure onto my low back because all of my weight is essentially hanging into my low back. So this doesn't feel comfortable even right now, but if you read for a long period of time and you do it recurringly, that will get into your low back. Now you could also be on technology, and if you have the head down too. So once again, if we're here, well, guess what happens when you stand up? That same position, yeah, that is not healthy for our spine, right? You see how my hips are tucked? And that weight is once again hanging into my low back. So what you want to do is you want to keep this straight. See how the position of my hips changed. The other position is the opposite. Some people have a bigger curve into their low back, so their spine might be here. Now, what they do is when they sit, this collapses, so now this curvature might get even bigger. This is not engaged, and now the same thing is in essence happening. The weight here, and especially if you have extra weight, hangs into your low back. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but over time, that will cause back pain. So a couple of things I recommend to people. One, always use your core. You guys knew I was going to say that. But let's pretend this is a chair, and let's pretend it had a back. I suggest move your tush as far back as you can, and then again, make sure you might start the day sitting up nice and tall, and then usually by the end of the day you're here. Watch out for that curvature and collapse, right? So if you sit further back and use the back of the chair for feedback, of course depends on the type of chair you have. If you have one of those swingy chairs, you have to be careful. You might need to prop maybe a pillow behind your back or roll a big towel behind your back. The other thing you can do to assist yourself is, if the chair is too high and your legs are dangling, you can put a little box underneath so that your feet are nice and supported. You want to have flat feet, 90 degrees at the knees, 90 degrees at the hips. This is nice and lifted, and the shoulders stay down, right? The position should be right here, and again, be careful with this or with this. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Is this helpful? And check and see which way do you sit, and do you have any issues with that. I will talk to you later. Have a rebellious day. Bye.